Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing today? Good? Excellent. So you had a very warm welcome this morning as we walked in. Ovations and music. You shouldn't have. All of that is not necessary. You don't have to do it every week, okay? See, the applause is still going on. Shall we begin then? You have done very well to get yourselves in early in the morning. I think some of you were here from 7:30. Remarkable. It just goes to show your enthusiasm. Now, you have a task to do today, which is to pay attention to me. We'll let you know who won at the end. Okay? Because if you're going to pay attention to that, then you will miss out on this, and that's not what you're here for. But we can use that for our contemplation as well, because what we have to learn is how to attain Nibbana in the world that we live in. You can't create an artificial world around you to get to Nibbana. That is not Nibbana. It is to be at peace with whatever is going on out there, isn't it? So that's what we're here to learn. Okay, then without further ado, let us all bring our palms together in veneration of the perfect one, reminding ourselves that this is not a mere mark of veneration, but a pledge of allegiance that we take to be steadfast on our journey to liberation. Let us remind ourselves that there is no refuge other than the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, which are symbolic of Nibbana, the path to it, and the practice that one needs to take to attain to it. Reminding ourselves of all of this, let us bring our palms together and chant the Namaskara. And once we've done so, let us also take a moment to seek refuge in the Noble Triple Gem, to observe the precepts, and continue with today's proceedings. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So whilst we wait for a few of the others to join us, let us use this time to do some meditation. The most important thing with meditation is that you know what it is to meditate. We've talked about this a few times. And even if this might be your first day here, any first-timers? Okay, thank you, welcome. Even if this might be your first time today, all you've got to do is what the Swami asks you to do. Because you may know meditation in various ways, and perhaps you have done some meditation of your own. Maybe you've been to retreats, other meditation schools, and so on. But for the purpose of our session here today, for this duration, all I want you to do is something very simple. Nothing difficult, very simple. And in its simplicity is its beauty. So I'm going to ask you to do something very simple, and I want you to just do that, focus on that, and see how far we can get with that, okay? The whole purpose of meditation is to get you to become one with nature. That is the ultimate objective. If your meditation works, then at the end of that, you must have become one with nature. Right now, you don't feel one with nature. That is the ailment of the mind. You don't feel one with nature, you feel that you are someone in nature. You don't feel that you and nature are one. You always feel like this is me, and then there's everyone else. That is that feeling of separation that the mind experiences. And it's something that the mind creates before it experiences it. So what we are trying to do with meditation is to try and get you to stop feeling that way, so that you become one with nature. So you find peace with nature, so you can settle with nature. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to try and do what we did the other day, once again. So I'm going to give you something that will help create a citta within yourselves. And that's all I'm doing. I'm going to use this word loosely because the moment I say it, you know that that is not true. I'm going to produce a sound. Can I produce sounds? No, I can't produce sounds because sounds are not produced here. All I can produce is a vibration. So I'll produce one of those. Within you, a sound will be created. And the moment that sound is created, then you need to know that that is a citta that is born. So what I want you to do is simply contemplate on that. The way that we have learned to understand the world is that whenever we hear a sound, now you may be hearing whistles from the playground. When you hear that, you think that the sound is generated by the whistle. So you think that it's a sound that is generated there and it's projected from the playground and we can hear it here. The fact that the further the source is, the less intense the sound is, does not help either. Because then it feels like it really is coming from the source, because the further you take it away from you, the quieter it becomes. And the more you bring it closer to you, the louder it becomes. So again, it feeds your misunderstanding that it is the source and that is where sound is generated. Got it? You have it? Okay. But that is not really what's going on. All there are vibrations, and of course, the further you move the source away from you, those vibrations dampen because of resistance. There's air, and there are the obstacles, right? And there's a distance those vibrations have to travel. And that is why the intensity of the sound is reduced in your mind. It is not because the sound was generated all the way back there and the sound got dampened. That is not what happened. So when you hear the sound that I'm about to produce, what? No, I cannot produce a sound, can I? When you hear the sound that you are going to produce, that is closer to the truth, because I'm not going to produce any sounds, you're going to be producing those sounds. So when you hear the sound that you are going to produce, in other words, your citta is going to produce, I want you to come to awareness, insightful awareness that, hey, presto, here's a citta. Here's a citta. That's all I want you to do. Here's a citta. Here's a citta. This is a citta. This is nothing more than a citta. This is a citta. Okay? And there's a citta. And try and convince yourself that the source of the sound is not the external object. This is a groundbreaking exercise. In fact, it will help you move forward in leaps and bounds if you can do this really mindfully. So perhaps I might not need to produce any sounds at all, because we have plenty of sounds today. And this is the perfect environment for us to practice this. Because this is what the outside world will be like for you. As you live, go out, drive, right? Do your thing. This is what it's going to be. In fact, I don't think I will have to I don't need to help you today. We are going to use the environment today. So thank you. You have it now. Okay. Ready? Okay. So now we are going to make a what? I'm going to make a vibration. You're going to make the sound. And when you hear that sound, I want you to come to insightful awareness, not just awareness. Mere awareness is not enough. We talked about insightful awareness last time. Right? Contemplate on the fact that here is a citta, here is a citta, here is a citta, here is a citta. Okay? Right, let's try that for a couple of minutes. What's going on outside this room? What's going on outside this room? What's the right answer to that question? Don't know. That's the simple answer. I don't know. There's no way you can know what's going on outside this room. But what about those voices that you're hearing? That's not going on outside this room. That's your mind. So how can you say what's going on outside this room with any level of confidence? Do you understand what I mean? There are vibrations out there, yes. But if there was a possibility that we could produce that sound in your mind without those vibrations, say for example, we were able to trigger the right parts of your brain, stimulate the right parts of your brain, we could still produce the same sound. So what level of confidence do you have that all of that is going on out there? How can you say? You have a hunch. There's probably something going on out there, but you can't be sure that something's going on out there. The only thing that you can be sure of is something's going on in there. Because you're conscious. That's not sound coming from the outside. So what should we do? Shall we go ask him to stop? So that we can do the sermon. What should we go and ask him to do? Can you stop making all that? What? Can you stop making all that? Noise. Really? Are they making any noise? No. So you can't go ask them to stop making the noise that they're not making in the first place. If they were also aware of the Dhamma that you're learning here, then they would promptly reply back to you and say, it's not us making that noise, you're making the noise, so you stop. Your experience is wholly mind-made. All of this that's going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen, you only know about things that are going on in your mind. You think you're seeing the Swami Wahanse who sat a few yards away from you. This image is actually created in your mind. I'm not suggesting that there is nothing here, but what you're seeing is not here. There's an object here, but you have no idea what it looks like. You have no idea what it sounds like. You have no idea what it feels like. Because these things that I'm talking about, looks like, sounds like, feels like, tastes like, smells like, all of these things are creations where? In your mind. That's all in your mind. Now let me ask a question from all of you. When we played the bell, didn't you all hear it? Is there anyone in the room who was there at the time, because a few people just walked in? So I'm not asking those individuals, but those who were here when we played the bell, were there any who didn't hear it? You all heard it, right? Right, well then there's something to take away from that. There are some conclusions that we can come to based on that and that alone. Let's see if we can come to those conclusions today. The conclusion that hopefully you will come to in a moment is that you are utterly useless. You are utterly useless. Let me prove it to you. You all heard that sound, didn't you? Yes? Okay. So just for the sake of everyone in the room, because you can't see others nodding at me, let me tell you that everyone else in the room is also giving a nod to confirm that they all heard the noise. Okay, because you can't see everyone else, I can see everyone. So hopefully you can trust me with that. Everyone's nodding when I ask them the question, did you all hear that noise? And everyone says, yes, they heard that noise. Okay. If everyone in the room heard that noise, what was your role in it, in hearing the noise? Let's break it down. At least if you can go home having understood that you're useless, that alone is there'll be fewer domestic issues at home. Because for once you will be able to agree with your other half. Too early for that? Because what does he or she always say? You are useless. So for once you can agree that you are useless. Right. Let's take you. Okay, I'm talking about you. Each of you can think that I'm talking about you. Okay? Let's see what was going on. I'm impressed. Doesn't that look like a bell? Or like a Jambugiri? So, we had a recording which we played, but for argument's sake, let's just say I rang a bell. What sound did the bell produce? What sound did the bell produce? We say it is a gong. Or a chime. Are these sounds that a bell produces? No. So what sound did the bell produce? None whatsoever. The bell does not produce a sound. Okay. So what did we do? How did we produce this sound? We would have used another object, right, and struck the bell with it, wouldn't we? That's what we would have done. So typically that's what you do, or you either shake the bell. When you shake a bell, what you're really doing is you're introducing energy into that system. And that energy results in movement. Either if you strike it with something, or what do you call this part? I'm not an expert in bells, so whatever that thing is called, the thing that shakes when you shake a bell, that strikes on the body of the bell, right? And it produces vibrations. So vibrations are merely movements. This is a vibration. And when that vibrates, there's a medium that this object is in. And that medium is called air, the medium of air. And that air vibrates, just like that. And then it reaches your Stop it. That'll have to do. If in doubt, just read the label. So it reaches your ear. And you know in your ear there's a canal, okay, which goes to your eardrum. All of these things are prone to vibration. They can vibrate. Now, of course, there's air in here as well. So when this vibration occurs here, air particles begin to vibrate. Actually, it's not this air particle that travels all the way here. It doesn't need to do that because this is energy, and energy can be transferred. So energy is transferred. So imagine these are air particles. These are all air particles, right? There are lots and lots and lots of air particles. So your hydrogens, your heliums, your oxygens, your carbon dioxides, and all of this it's in the air. Right? So when this vibrates, these air particles, it starts to vibrate. The one that is closest to this object vibrates. And then that starts to vibrate, the one immediately adjacent to it. So I'm just talking about one, but actually we are talking about millions, if not billions of molecules, right? They start to vibrate. And then these vibrations, they traverse. So it's not this coming all the way here. It's like passing the passer. We've all done that, so you know what I'm talking about. So those vibrations, they travel all the way up to your eardrum. And once it gets your eardrum, now what does your eardrum do? It also vibrates. And once that vibrates, it's connected to a special organ that looks like a conch, like a shell inside. It's called a cochlea. Yes, a few nods, thank you. And then inside that are little hairs, tiny little hairs. Those hairs vibrate. See, it's all still vibration. No sound whatsoever. This is all still vibration, energy that was transferred right up here. This was the energy that you transferred through your muscles, through your movement. This energy was transferred to the body of the bell, to these molecules, and each of them transferring that energy. Now, when they transfer that energy, some of it is absorbed, some of it is lost, some of that is converted to heat, and so on, right? So not 100% of the energy is going to be made available here. There is energy loss. And that's why the further you take something away from you, the less you hear its intensity. Yeah? Okay. So this is just basic physics. Most of you will know this, but there may be one or two people in the room. It's been donkey's years since you did any physics at all, so it's perfectly fine. Just giving you a quick refresher. So you have these little hairs in your inner ear or in your cochlea, and once those hairs get vibrated, there's a nerve cell which triggers an electrical impulse there. That electrical impulse then traverses this, it's kind of like a wire, a circuit, electrical circuit, and that travels all the way to this bad boy here. What's it called? The big B, your brain. Most of you have one. Sorry, all of us have one, right? What is your other half? Don't they ask you, don't you have a brain? Just before they say you're useless. So it gets to your auditory center in your brain, and then there's an interface. There's an interface between the physical world and the mental world. So this interface is actually quite extraordinary. I'm not going to get into the details of how that whole thing works because it is beyond the realms of what we are here to discuss for now. In the future, we'll talk about it. When it becomes, actually, once you first ordain yourself and come to the monastery, then I'll explain all that to you. Until then, that level of detail is not really necessary to get to where you want to be. So once it gets to the auditory center of your brain, then there's an interface. So what happens there is this physical experience, this physical stimuli of a vibration, an electrical signal is somehow translated into what we call a sound rupa or a saddha rupa. And this is when it has now entered the mental realm. All up until here, there was no sound at all. So if I were to draw a representation of this interface, say this is the mind, and this is your brain. Okay? So this is all this stuff happening on this side, and from here it's going to be the mind taking over. Okay? Up until this point, there is no sound at all. There is an interface that happens here. At this bridge, what happens is vibrations or electrical impulses, something physical on that side is translated to something mental on this side. Because it was delivered through what we call the auditory center of the brain, this becomes a sound rupa or a saddha rupa. If it were that this was delivered by the visual center of the brain, this would become a sight rupa. They're all called rupa. From here on, you have, we talk about the very familiar, you have seen it being drawn on the board plenty of times. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. That's what happens. So all of this stuff happens from here onwards. Okay? None of this is on this side. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay? So that's why we talk about this a lot when we talk about the mind. Because anything on that side, anything on this side, has nothing to do with the mind. Now, just for completeness' sake, I'm going to do a little bit more of a split here. This rupa is sometimes explained as twofold. This is also an R, this is also an R. This can be considered external rupa. This can be considered internal rupa. So there's a subtlety there, and I'll explain that to you just for completeness' sake. This external rupa, so rupa can be considered twofold. This external rupa is basically everything on this side. This is external rupa. All of this, all of that is external rupa. Because we can't completely ignore the effect that it has on producing or kickstarting this process. Because if this weren't there, then this wouldn't happen either. Right? So this external rupa is all of that. But the internal rupa, which is the other category of rupa, has nothing to do with the physical world at all. This is completely Vipāka. This is Vipāka. What about the Vedana? Vipāka. Sanya, Vipāka. Sankhara, Vipāka. And Vijnana, again Vipāka. What about this rupa? What about that rupa? Is that Vipāka or not? That's just the physical world. You can't say that is Vipāka, because Vipāka is to do with the mind. That's the external world. In fact, what you could say that is the Satara Mahabhuta, or the four basic elements. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. You could extend it to the pure octet, which is Varna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, and so on. Basically, that's how the Buddha describes everything that's in the outside world. Okay? So, in summary, too many scribbles on the board, I'm going to take it out. So, in summary, what we have Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. It doesn't harm to get in the hang of these words, because you will hear these words plenty of times. So it's good to get to know these words. Not the words alone, you need to know the words, but also what it means, what these words actually mean and what it entails. Okay? So once again, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana. Okay. So what we just discussed was this rupa is twofold. External rupa, internal rupa. Okay? External rupa is 4 types. What are they? Patavi, Tejo, Vayu, Apo. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Tejo, Patavi, Vayu, whatever. Whichever way you like to enumerate it, you can use it. It doesn't matter which way you say it, but ultimately it's the solid element, the flowing element, the heat element, the sticky element. So these are the 4 elements. Okay? So that's the external rupa. Now the problem is this though. On the point of external rupa, how do you know that there is Patavi, Apo, Tejo and Vayu out there? How do you know of their existence? Can you feel it? So, for instance, when you hold a solid object, is that Patavi that you feel? Is that Patavi that you feel? Well, let's continue this conversation for a bit longer, a bit further, and then you will understand. You'll be able to answer this question for yourself, right? Now you have Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu here. This is the 4 basic elements, and it's all the external world, external Rupa. Now we come to the internal Rupa. This internal Rupa is a Vipāka. What is your Vipāka? Vipāka is when your karma comes to fruition. We call it Vipāka. Now, I use this word, your Vipāka, your karma. You have to understand that this is merely for the purpose of describing something, because there is no Vipāka that belongs to you. There is no karma that belongs to you either, because there is no you in the first place. At which point you might have a question, well, how come my karma always comes to me and not to my neighbor? To understand that, I have an answer to that, but to understand that, we still have to go a bit further on this journey. If I try and explain that to you, I think I did once, and then I saw some very blank faces in the audience, so I thought, not yet. Right? Because I'm sure that is a question you have in your mind right now. If it's not my karma, then how come it becomes my Vipāka? So if I do something bad, how come it only comes back to me? Why does it not come to the person next to me? Wouldn't that be nice? So we could delegate our Vipāka, just like you delegate your responsibilities. So for the time being, let's just call it your karma, your Vipāka, just for argument's sake. Do we have enough seats at the back? Does everyone have somewhere to sit? Do you have somewhere to sit? Okay. So I'm going to refer to karma and Vipāka. Okay? For all intents and purposes, ladies and gentlemen, you could, in effect, consider both of these things to be the same. There's only a very small difference between these two. Think of it this way. Karma is what generates Vipāka. So they're very much related to each other. Karma is what generates Vipāka. You run on Vipāka. You can't run on karma. So when you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or even think, all of that is Vipāka. Okay? Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, all of that is Vipāka. Karma is a process that happens in the mind. In some minds, not in every mind. It doesn't happen in all minds. It happens in a mind which tries to create Vipāka. Some minds have ignorance, other minds don't. So again, I'm going to use the words you now. Instead of saying minds, I'm going to say some of you have ignorance, others don't. So those of you who have ignorance will have attachment, will have the process that generates karma. Let me draw that process on the board so that we have everything up here and it will be easier for us to understand things. This is the process that produces karma, namely ignorance, which is the cause of attachment. Actually, I should have put one more in there. Ignorance, which is the cause of attachment. These are the immediate causes. Attachment, which is the cause of vexation. Vexation, which is the immediate cause for abhisankara. Abhisankara, which is the immediate cause for bhava. And bhava, which is the immediate cause for jati. This is a process that runs in your mind. Don't worry too much about what these words mean. But I think you will know what ignorance and attachment mean at this point. Maybe even vexation. Perhaps abhisankara, bhava, jati, these things don't make a lot of sense right now, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just understand that if I were to draw a mind, if this is your mind, why do I always draw a mind like this? Because it arises and passes away. It's simply to indicate that, right? It arises and passes away. So this is energy. This is on the time axis, right? So it arises and passes away. During this process, or during the life cycle of a citta, two things happen. One is a vipāka comes into fruition. This is for mundane beings, not for arahants. A vipāka comes to fruition and the ignorance process runs as well. Both of these processes run in one cycle of a citta. So, for instance, if I were to draw this in different colors, let's say this is the vipāka process in blue, and if this were the karma process, let's say I draw it in black. What's going on is this. So they happen together. Concurrently, both these processes are running. In an arahant, one who has completed their path, one who has attained enlightenment, only one of these two processes run. Which one is that? That is the vipāka process. So this is the vipāka process, and this is the karma process. This is the process that makes you feel that you are an entity. Which one? The bottom one. Okay? This is the process that makes you feel that you are an entity, that you are an individual, that you are a self. Don't you all feel that you are someone and that you are separate to the person sat next to you? This is the process that runs in your mind that makes you feel that way. See, for once in a lifetime, we are beginning to understand what is it that makes me, me. This is what makes you, you. There's a process that does that. Whereas this process up here, the vipāka process, is the process that helps you to see. It's the process that helps you to hear. It's the process that helps you to smell. The process that helps you to taste. And the process that helps you to touch, feel, physically things. When these things happen, seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, touching, when all of those things are happening, it's this process that's running. Now you all know how we got this far, right? I went through the full process of the bell, the vibrations, the ear canal, right? The cilia in your ear, and the vibrations again, to external rupa and then internal rupa. So this internal rupa is where the vipāka process starts. So internal rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, that's all vipāka. External rupa, that's not vipāka, that's just the environment. You can't consider that to be vipāka. That's just the environment. This, on the other hand, is a completely separate process, but it also runs on the mind. So it's like the mind is hijacked by this process. When the mind is hijacked by this process, you cannot stop at seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. What else happens? What else happens? So once again, what I'm suggesting is, when the karma process happens, you cannot stop yourself at seeing. It's not just seeing that happens, I see happens. I see. You say that, right? I see. Not that I see. You say that when you understand something. That's not what I mean. Seeing happens, and then the I is who is seeing happens. It is I who is seeing. That I part, the self part, that is a product of this process. Now, when we rang the bell, when we did the meditation session this morning, when he rang the bell, right, so let's try and do it again. It's not good. But you can hear this sound. When you hear this sound, ask yourself whether it is just a matter of hearing that goes on in you, or do you actually feel that it is you who's hearing? Don't you feel that it is you who's hearing this sound? Yeah? So if someone asks you, what are you doing? What would you answer? How would you answer? I am listening to the sermon. So there's an I who's doing that. There's a doer inside of you, isn't there? You feel that there's a doer in there. You feel that there's a doer here. This is what creates that doer. Here's what produces that doer. Whereas the seeing process, it's only the Vipāka. Does that make sense to everyone? Put your hand up if that doesn't make sense before I proceed to the next stage. If that didn't make sense, just give me a quick show of hand and I can explain it one more time. Okay. Thank you. Right. Once again then, there are two processes at play inside each and every one of you. What we're trying to do is just to identify those two processes, and if there's a problem with any one or both of those processes, we have to bring it to a stop. Yes? Because we don't want something that's causing a problem to us. We want to get rid of it. There are two processes. The first process is what we call the Vipāka process. It's the Vipāka process. The other process is called the karma process. The Vipāka process is what helps you to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think. So when your five sense organs bring stimuli from the outside world, it's the Vipāka process that helps you to experience them. That is the end of it. That's it. The Vipāka process does nothing more than that. That's it. It's like running on fuel that has already been pumped into your car. But alongside that, there's another process called the karma process. This karma process also runs in your mind, like I've shown you here, right? They run together. They run together. It's not like the Vipāka process runs first and then one cycle of the karma process comes later. That's not how it works. They run together, hand in hand. The karma process is the process that adds a sense of self to these experiences. Which is why when you hear something, you can't stop yourself from feeling that it is I who hears. Make sense? Can you see this? Yes. You know that seeing happens, but you also can experience that there's a you who's seeing it. That is your sense of self. Yeah? You never thought that the sense of self was something that was created in the mind, not until you listen to the Dhamma. Now you're beginning to understand that the sense of self is being produced, it's a separate process. It's not part and parcel of the mind. It does not come with the mind itself. It does not all come in one package. This process is a very separate process, and it's a process that can be isolated, it can be exterminated, it can be terminated, it can be stopped if you want to. This cannot run without this though. That is also important to understand. This process cannot run without this process. So the karma process cannot run without the Vipāka process. Why is that? Why can't the karma process run on its own? Think about it. Why can't the karma process run on its own? Why does it have to piggyback on the Vipāka process? The reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is because this is the natural process. When the I comes into contact with an object, a Vipāka comes into fruition, not a karma. This is all nature will let you have. So you don't have to do anything for this. Nature will let you have Vipāka. When you hear this sound, this process is triggered. Because what happens when I do this? Sound comes, or no, not really sound, vibrations come into contact with your ear, and then the Vipāka is born. See, this is the clicking of my fingers is the external rupa. Right? And the sound that you heard, that is this and the rest of it. Okay? So that is this and the rest of it, the internal rupa and the rest of it. You need that for this to run on it. It's like I said, the hijacker. So if this is the aircraft, this is the hijacker. You need the hijacker to get on the aircraft. Without the aircraft, you can't have a hijacker. Does that make sense? So you can't have a karma process if you didn't have the Vipāka process. So can there be individuals where you only have the karma process and no Vipāka process? Can there be individuals like that? Can there be? No. Can there be individuals where you have just the Vipāka process but not the karma process? Can you have that? Yes. Can there be individuals with both the Vipāka and the karma process? Yes? Where are they? Good. And where are you heading? This but not this? Or this but not this? Yes, that's where we are heading. We want to get there and get rid of this one. Does that make sense? Yes. So once you stop the karma process, Vipāka will cease to occur. Because this is like charging the battery. None of this is difficult to understand. It's very simple, really. If I can understand it, then anyone can understand it. This is not really difficult to understand. It's really simple to understand. You just need to pay attention and make it relatable to yourselves. So when you listen to this sermon or these sermons, I don't want you to listen to them think in the context that this is a lecture. This is not a lecture. Like, this is not a science lecture or a physics lecture or an econ lecture. These are not lectures because we are so used to learning, educating ourselves. And when we go to a classroom, we educate, we learn, we take notes. I'm not suggesting you shouldn't be taking notes. What I'm saying is, I don't want you to look at this as another lecture. This is what's going on with you right now. Okay, so make it relatable. Every time I draw something, so if I draw, this is the Vipāka process, I want you to internalize that. So this is what's going on with me. When I draw the karma process, I want you to internalize that. I see, so this is what's going on with me. Do you remember learning the human body when we did biology at school? So for anyone who's done biology at school, I mean, we've all done some biology at school, right? When they drew the respiratory system or the circulatory system, right? Do you recall learning that and think, so that's what's going on inside of me. In the same way, now I want you to think about whatever you learn here, this is what's going on inside of you. Because now we're talking about the mind. For biology, you still learned about what was going on with your body. Okay? What does that look like? Barbecue. This is supposed to be a karmic strand. This is a representation of a very simple representation of a karmic strand. Not a skewer. So don't think barbecue now. This is not a skewer with barbecue on, this is a karmic strand. What's a karmic strand? Well, if it has the word karmic, then it has to do something with the karma process that we talked about earlier. Here's a karmic process again. Ignorance, attachment, vexation, abhisankara, bhava, and jati. For as long as this process runs in your mind, okay, this is kind of like the recycling process of Vipāka. What was the Vipāka process again? Rupa, yes, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, and Vijnana. Now here's what happens inside of you. Here's what's going on with you. One of these which is a packet of energy, if you like. Okay, this is a packet of energy. So in today's physics terms, you might call it a photon. It's a packet of energy. This packet of energy is released from your karmic strand. It's released when the environment is right. So for instance, here's the environment. See, I just created the environment. Now without me doing this, you can't hear me doing that, can you? So you need the environment, which then pulls the Vipāka from your karmic strand. Okay? So once the environment is ready, one of these is released from the karmic strand. One of these is released, and then that becomes the energy packet, which essentially comes up here. So what was here earlier is now here. So this is no longer here now. So you've just consumed one packet of energy from your karmic strand. Remember what I said about Vipāka? It's when your karma comes into fruition. That's what's going on now. This is your karma, and one of those is coming into fruition. So it coming into fruition, meaning it now becomes a Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara and Vijnana. So a citta is born. This is the birth of a citta. What would happen if the next one came along? So let's say this one comes and it passes away. Now the next one comes along. This one comes. Now what happens? What would you have? Another one of those. That's what you have. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. And if the next one came along? Another one of those. How many can you have at once? How many can you have at once? Just one. So you can never have two of these packets released at the same time. Only one packet is released at once. Are we all good so far? This is your karmic strand. Karmic, because it is generated by the karma process. That's why it's called karmic. But this is not karma. What is this? Vipāka. You could call it karmic energy, but the moment it comes to fruition, now we change the terminology. What was karmic energy, we now call it Vipāka energy, if you like. That's now a Vipāka. So each of these has the potential to run a whole cycle of this, one process of this. Each packet has the potential to run one of these. So every time one of these is released from your karmic strand, you have one cycle of Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. When the next one comes along, that does. And another one, and so on it goes. So what happens when you consume all of these now? So how many do we have here? We had 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So after 8 of these have run, what happens next? Yikes. What happens next? Fortunately, you have nothing to worry about. Why? Why is that? Because you have the charging process here. Your batteries are being charged at the same rate that it is being used up. So not to worry. So while each of these is being released as a Vipāka, because this process also runs in your mind. Now how did they run? Do you remember? Right? And then? That's what it was, right? So because these two processes run together, one is the Vipāka, the other is the karma. So what's going on then? You tell me. As each one of these is released, another one gets added to the strand. Now do you see samsara in action? That's why samsara never ends. That's why you can keep going on and on and on and on. And there will never be an end. So, there's no point talking about any of this. Let's just all pack up and go home then. So what do we do then? If samsara, we can't see an end to samsara. No end to samsara is in sight. How about we stop the Vipāka coming to fruition? Shall we try and do that? Let's try and stop the Vipāka from coming into fruition. How do we stop that? Let's just, hypothetically, if we wanted to stop Vipāka from coming to fruition, how would we do that? Wait, think and answer carefully. Remember when we talked about Rupa, there was 2 types of Rupa. We said there was, what were they? External Rupa and internal Rupa, right? External Rupa is the environment. Once again, external Rupa is the environment. If the environment is ready, there is nothing you can do to stop a Vipāka from coming to fruition. The simple example I'm going to give you now is, if you can, I dare you, challenge you to stop hearing this sound that I'm about to make. Try and not hear that. Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you stop? Can you not hear the sound that I'm making? You can't. Why is that? Because here's the external Rupa. When the external Rupa is there, when the environment is there, there is nothing you can do to stop Vipāka from coming to fruition. You can't stop that. Then what is Parinibbāna? So what happens when an Arahant passes away into Parinibbāna? Are they still there, living and somewhere, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting? Is that still going on? No. What happened with an Arahant as they passed into Parinibbāna? That external Rupa ceased to exist. The external Rupa stopped. Because the external Rupa stopped, that is the environment ceased, now Vipākas can't come to fruition. So how come that doesn't happen with you then? How come when you die, the external Rupa is created again, but when the Arahant dies or passes into Parinibbāna, the external Rupa is not created again? Why is that? What creates the external Rupa? Again, your karmic process. Your karmic process creates what we call the Karmaja Rupa, which is the very first Rupa that is created in each instance of existence. For as long as karma is running in your mind, even if this were the last citta of your existence in this life, if karma is running, the karma process is running, ladies and gentlemen, what that karma process will do is create a very fine kind of Rupa. A very fine Rupa that becomes the external Rupa for then the Vipāka process to continue. So you see, unless you cease the karmic process, there is no getting out of this. No get out of jail free cards here. There's only one way to do this. You can't look for shortcuts, no detours, no time out, nothing like that. There's only one way out of this. You have to cease the karmic process that's going on in your mind. Once again, the reason you can't stop Vipāka coming to fruition or your karma coming to fruition is because if the environment is ready, then your karma will come to fruition. You can't stop that. See? Can you avoid yourself from hearing that? Can you prevent hearing that? You can't do that. You might say, well, what if I plug my ears? No, that's not the same thing. Now, all you've done is you've changed the environment. Now, when you plug your ears, you're hearing whatever you're hearing then. So you might hear your heartbeat, for instance. You might hear, some murmur that's happening inside of you. Something will be heard. You can't completely block all sound out. Something will be heard. If you're alive, something will be heard. Something will be seen. And if neither seeing nor hearing is happening, you'll still feel your physical existence. You can feel your body, right? You can't stop all sensation, can you? Exactly. So for as long as you exist in some physical form, Vipāka will continue to do its job. Then tell me, is there any way you can stop this from occurring? Karma coming into Vipāka, fruition? Any way you can stop that from occurring? There's no way you can stop that from occurring. There's one little way you could. Now we're talking. Eh? There's one little thing you can do, but it's typically beyond the reach of many, and that's called Niródha Samápatti. It's a very deep state of absorption, mental absorption. So you have to pass all the jhanas and get to the ultimate jhana, which is Niródha Samápatti, which is a state of mind that someone who has practiced jhanas for perhaps the most part of their life, and they have an intense sense of samadhi, state of samadhi, and as far as we know, you have to at least be an anagami or an arahatun vahanse to get to that stage. What you can do at that point is you can cease your chittas from occurring. You can stop the mind temporarily. You can stop the mind from occurring like this. Meaning Vipāka, you can stop the Vipāka process. Again, you stop the Vipāka process by changing the environment. But it's not for us to talk about anyway, because when are we going to get there? First you have to get to the monastery. When are you going to get there is my question. And once you get there, we'll start talking about when you're going to get to Niródha Samápatti. Right, so what's going on with you then? Vipāka process and the karma process. So what happens when all of this runs out? Is there ever going to be a problem? Why is there never going to be a problem? Because you have the karma process going on, and each time the karma process runs, it spits out one of these. Each time the karma process runs, it spits out one of these, and it goes back here. It gets back onto the karmic strand. So you're never going to actually exhaust your karma. There were teachers in the Buddha's era, his contemporaries, who used to teach that this was possible. You can just consume all your karma, and at some point your karma will run out, and that will be the end of samsara. The Buddha came along and said, pity, alas, that cannot be done. You cannot actually consume all of your karma, because there's an infinite amount of karma that you have all acquired and accumulated over your infinitely long journey of samsara, that, to even think that you would end your samsara by consuming all your vipāka is a joke and a half. So you might as well forget about that already. That's not going to happen. Okay, so that's not going to happen. So then how do we get to Nibbāna? If you can't stop vipākas by consuming them, how do we get to Nibbāna? Here's how you get to Nibbāna. This citta is a combination of vipāka and karma. So this karma process, which is this process up here, runs on your citta. I will get into more detail about how this works in a moment, right? But for the time being, this is the karma process that runs piggybacking on the vipāka process. Each time a karma process runs, you have a karmic strand getting added to the thing. Now, didn't I tell you a moment ago that it's unthinkable, unimaginable, and just useless to think about consuming all your vipākas and then bringing samsara to a sort of a natural end? Didn't I just explain to you that a moment ago? Because you have enough and more vipāka to keep going for as long as you have come in samsara, that much and more. You can keep going in samsara if you kept on just living on the vipāka that you have already. So simply by stopping the karmic process, okay, just imagine we were able to stop the karmic process right now. 3, 2, 1, stopped. The only thing that's happened right now is you have stopped producing new karma to add to the karmic strand. Does vipāka stop as well? No, vipāka still come into fruition. What is this state called? An Arahant. That's what an Arahant does, right? So many of these were going on, and then one fine day you had one of these without the karmic process. When the Arahant ended with this, new karmic energy was not being pumped up to the karmic strand. But that did not mean that they had still enough and more vipāka to keep going in samsara. Fair enough? Are you all on the same page here? Yeah, so there was still enough and more vipaka to keep going in samsara, even though they were not producing new karma. So then, what would be the point of becoming an arahant if you can't stop your sansaric journey, because there's still lots and lots and lots of vipaka left? And if you can't even think about consuming all your vipaka and bringing samsara to an end, what would be the point of stopping the production of karma? Here's the answer to that question. The day you become an arahant, ladies and gentlemen, this is what will go on with you. Vipaka will be consumed, but new karma will not be produced. But when your body, this physical form, comes to its natural end, to create a karmaja rupa, karmaja meaning the product of karma. That's what ja in the Pali, the suffix ja means it is a product of whatever was said earlier. So karmaja rupa, it's a nipata. Okay? So what it means is, it is a product of karma. So once the karmic process has stopped, a karmaja rupa does not get produced. It's not produced anymore. Because a karmaja rupa is not produced, as the arahant comes to the natural end of his life, the body breaks down. Now there is no longer an external environment, which is the environment that is needed for a vipaka to come into fruition. Because that external environment is no longer produced, now the vipaka cannot come to fruition. See, that is the point of victory. Now let me draw on the board for you what would happen for a non-arahant. So this is a non-arahant. Vipakas. What's this black line? What's the black spiral? That's a karma, right? So these two processes are happening together. Okay? Let's say at this point, this person dies. This is the death of a non-arahant. At the point of their death, what we know happens is another one of these should occur, right? Another one of these should occur. That's how you continue. Because again, vipaka has to keep on coming to fruition. But at the point of their death, ladies and gentlemen, you need a karmaja rupa. You need a karmaja rupa to be produced, which becomes the base for the vipaka to take fruition. That base has to be there. That karmaja rupa can only be produced through karma. So, essentially, with a non-arahant, you are not going to have just a vipaka. Because there was karma in the previous citta, so this is the point of death. Okay? At the point of passing away, there was still karma happening, wasn't there? See? Karma was still happening at the point of death. So at the end of this, a new karmaja rupa is produced. That karmaja rupa becomes a pratisandhi rupa. Pratisandhi meaning rebirth. Actually, pratisandhi means to reconnect. Sandhi is a connection. Prati is to repeat. So there is a reconnection that happens here. Because there is karmic energy, there's a karma process going on, it creates a karmaja rupa, and that karmaja rupa becomes the pratisandhi rupa. And as the pratisandhi rupa is created, now again you have the environment, which is the external environment for the vipaka process to continue. And let's not forget that the karma process has not been ceased, so therefore that continues as well. And then you keep going until the next death. So let's imagine that death happens here again. What happens now? If karma is still in action, if the karmic process is still in action, what would happen at this point? Another one of these happens. Again, a karmaja rupa is produced. So therefore, the environment for vipaka to take place is there. Therefore, vipaka takes place. And you continue again. And this is how you have come in samsara. Endlessly. Ceaselessly. You have always come in samsara because in the last citta that you had in your previous life, there was karma taking place. The karmic process was in action. Because the karmic process is in action, a karmaja rupa is born. That becomes the pratisandhi rupa. Pratisandhi rupa is the new environment required for the vipaka to continue. That's why they say pratisandhi. Prati meaning repeat, sandhi meaning connection, connection for vipaka. See? Does that make sense? It's a reconnection of vipaka. Now let's go to the Arahant. That's what will happen if you keep coming to the Sunday mornings. Every day, but every week. Let's go to the Arahant. Let's say now we are talking about the Arahant, and in this point, they have now become Arahants. How does this represent an Arahant? Because we don't have the, which process? Karmic process. Very good. Okay, so now the Arahant's moment of death. Okay? Why are you nodding your head frantically? Because you can't have this. But why? That is the question. How come? How come you don't have any of this? Well, here's why. This is the point where the Arahant's body breaks. So this is their death, the physical death. Remember, you always have to have the environment where vipaka comes into fruition. Now, where the environment has broken down, essentially the body has broken down, because there's no karmic process, a karmaja rupa cannot be produced. And because the karmaja rupa cannot be produced, the environment cannot be produced for vipaka to take fruition. Therefore, even though there might be vipaka here, even though vipaka might be left in their karmic strand, and not might be, there most certainly is. There's most certainly is vipaka left, just like you and I. Because there's no environment for vipaka to take fruition, now vipaka cannot take fruition. Therefore, what happens? That's it. Vipaka does not come into fruition. So then this karmic energy dissolves. At this point, this karmic energy has no purpose to serve, because it is not waiting to come to fruition. Therefore, it completely, well, that's it. It goes back to pure energy. This is what happens when you die, and when you die as an Arahant. The reason I'm explaining this to you is not that this is of any interest to you. It's not that, now that you know how an Arahant dies, you can now become an Arahant so you can die later. It doesn't work like that. What you need to do is to become an Arahant. An Arahant is someone within whom the karmic process has ceased. The karmaja rupa and all that is not your business. If the karmic process runs, then the karmaja rupa will be reduced. There's nothing you can do about that. That's not up to you. But to bring the karmic process to an end, that you can do something about. So, you see, now if you want to stop your rebirth, there's only one thing you can do, and that is to stop the karmic process from occurring. Because in your last citta, in this lifetime, and that could be in 10 years' time, 10 weeks' time, 10 days' time, or 10 minutes' time. Who knows, right? Perhaps someone will have a heart attack, and that will be the end of them. Who knows where it will happen, when it will happen? It doesn't come pre-announced, does it? So, the moment it happens, if your karmic cycle, your karmic process has not come to an end, what happens? Then you're still The karmic process is still piggybacking the Vipāka process. The moment your body breaks, as in your heart stops functioning, your brain dies, right? Your system is no longer conducive to the Vipāka process running, then your karmaja process, the karmic process creates another karmaja rupa. It creates a karmaja rupa, and on that karmaja rupa, that becomes the external rupa, and on that external rupa, the internal rupa starts to take process. So that's how rebirth happens. That's how you keep going on in samsara. So the only way you can stop that is by stopping the karmic process. Now what is the karmic process then? Can I remove all of this from the board now? Is everything clear to you? Excellent. What is the karmic process then? Well, what you have here is the karmic process. This is the karmic process. Ignorance leads to attachment. Attachment leads to vexation. So I've written this in the Pali, avidya, tanha, and then I've switched to English again. All right, let me change those. Actually, we'll keep to Pali. Because I don't know the words for abhisankara. I could come up with something, but it wouldn't make much sense to you. Or a word for bhava. Bhava is good enough, right? We all know what it means, right? Avidya, tanha, vexation. Abhisankara, we're back where we started. Right, let's leave it at that. So, avidya is ignorance. What does that mean? Ignorance is ignorance of? Well, ignorance, really. Ignorance is ignorance of ignorance. That is what ignorance is. Ignorance is ignorance of this whole thing. The stuff we talk about. That is what ignorance is. Not knowing what you learn here on Sunday morning. That is ignorance. So the only way out of ignorance is what? To come here on Sunday morning. That's the only way out of ignorance. So if you don't want to be born again, what must you do? Come here on Sunday morning. That's the only way to stop it. Because as long as there's ignorance, there's going to be attachment. As long as there's attachment, there's going to be vexation. As long as there's vexation, there's going to be the effort that you make to relieve yourself of vexation. That is what abhisankara is. It's the effort that the mind makes to relieve itself of vexation. That is what abhisankara is. So for as long as there's vexation, there will be efforts made to relieve the mind from vexation, also called abhisankara. And once abhisankara is done, then bhava happens. Bhava is the step really where a karmic seed joins the karmic stand. This is the step, bhava. So the moment bhava happens within you, within your mind, a karmic strand or a karmic seed gets added to the karmic strand. Okay? But because of bhava, it doesn't stop there. Testing, that's better. Because of bhava, jati also happens. Now when jati happens, that's the point at which you feel that you exist. It's at this point. This is the magic bullet. This is the point at which you feel you exist. So why are we concerned about bhava and abhisankara and all this? Why can't we just come from abhisankara to jati and skip the whole bhava part? Because then nothing would get added to the karmic strand, right? Why don't we just bypass all of this? Right, if you want jati, straight from avidya to jati, just skip all this stuff. Why can't we just do that? Why can't we just do that? We could if it was you who was doing this. If you were personally doing this, I'm sure you would have designed it this way. So you could bypass the whole bhava part, which is where the karmic seeds are being produced and put into the karmic strands. You don't want any of that stuff because you want to end samsara, but you want to be someone while you're still here. You want to be who you are, you just don't want to keep going in samsara. Right? That would be the best of both worlds. But unfortunately, you can't have it like that because you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. Why is that? Because it's not you who's doing this. That's why. If it were down to you, I'm sure you would have designed it differently. But it's not you who's doing this. This is cause and effect in action. This is paticca samuppada. This is dependent origination. This is cause and effect. The interesting thing is here, ladies and gentlemen, the mind does not know what it has to do to experience a sense of self. Let me repeat that. And please pay full attention to these words. The mind does not know, it does not know what it has to do to experience a sense of self. It does not know that. It does not know, therefore it cannot jump directly from start to end. It does not know. All of this happens unbeknown to it. When ignorance is there in the mind, when the mind is ignorant, the mind cannot stop itself from feeling attached. Because what is ignorance after all? Ignorance is the mind thinking that a sense of self is good, or separation is good. To have something for yourself is good. Right? Belonging is good. Don't you feel that way? Is it not nice that you have someone to belong to and someone who belongs to you? Don't you agree with me? Come on, let's be honest. A sense of belonging, does that not make you feel good? Right? I belong to someone. Right? And someone belongs to me. And not just me, only me. Isn't that a good feeling? See, that is ignorance. You have that ignorance. And that is the way it is. So when you have a car, right? If you are a car owner, you're not just any old car owner. You're a proud car owner, aren't you? If you have a house, you're not just any old house owner. It's called house pride. So you're proud that you have a house. It makes you feel special that this is my house. It can't be just anyone's house. It's my house. This is my car. This is my daughter. This is my son. This is my job. This is my money. This is my bank. This is my this. This is my that. These are my clothes. This is my cupboard. This is my flower garden. This is my vase. This is my pen. And all the rest of it. See, don't you like that feeling? I ask you. Let's be honest. Why have you all just gone numb? Although your heads might be nodding this way, I know what your mind is saying right now. Of course, Swaminas, of course. If you tell me that you don't like this feeling of belonging, then you should be prepared to drop everything today and come with me. If there's anyone here who says, I don't like this sense of belonging, provided I can ensure that you will be fed, you'll be sheltered, you'll be clothed, and you'll be given the 4 requisites, right? Provided I can give you that, you should not need to have anything belong to you. Are you there yet? I'll look away, you answer. See, don't you really enjoy that feeling? Let's talk about that for a second. Right? Close your eyes for a second. Right? Mothers in the room, give me a quick show of hands if you're a mother. Mother. Right. Okay. Right. Put your hands down. Right? Think of your child for a second. Your child. Your beloved child. That beautiful girl. Your beloved boy. Your son. Who resonates with the beat of your heart. Your child. See, as I say these words, Mothers, okay, you can open your eyes now. What do you feel as a mother? You feel a real strong sense of connection, don't you? That's motherliness. That's motherliness. You can't break it. That bond is there because you like the fact that he or she is your child. That's why I say, you like that feeling. That's the problem. You like the feeling of self. Me and mine. You like that feeling. Okay, let's go to the gents now. I mean, not the gents, but let's go to the gentlemen in the room. Now, gents, close your eyes for a second. What shall I say? Wives? Not sure about that. Okay. For those who love their wives, which I assume is all of you, right? Think of your wife for a second, right? Your wife, your darling wife. The one who has committed her whole life to you. She's yours and yours only. She doesn't even look at anyone else. Certainly not with both eyes open. If she ever does, she only looks with one eye closed. Think about your possessions, the things that you love. Your car, your watch, your office, and the glass table that you have in it. Your swiveling chair, your house, the house that you have worked so hard to build. Right? Those things that you might like. Your bike, your collection of, whatever they are, whatever your collections are. See, when I say these things out loud to you, right, you have this sense of me, mine. This feels good. Does it not feel good when we talk about me's and mines? What is your favorite topic? If someone was to please you, what is the thing that they should talk to you about? You. It feels good when someone talks to you about yourself. When someone comes and says, hey, you are a wonderful person, right? And they sing praises about you, right? That makes you feel good. Ignore the Dhamma for a second, because now you're beginning to understand that this is a cancer, this is a mental cancer. I don't want to feel this way, I don't like feeling this way, but I still feel it. But, if you go down to the core, as we talk about you and yours, me and mine, these are really good feelings. See, that was the idea that was planted in your mind when ignorance took root. That it was good to feel that way. That is what I'm trying to prove to you. That was what ignorance was. When that thought first occurred in your mind, that me and mine are good. Okay, that is what ignorance is. Me and mine are good. So the moment you had that thought that me and mine are good, there was nothing in this world that was yours to begin with. There was no you, there was no yours. So now you're left in the situation where me and mine are good, but there is nothing that is me or mine. So what do you have to do then? Now the mind starts to vex. Because here's something that the mind wants, but does not exist. Think about it. Let's go back to a real life example. Let's say you walk into a store, okay? Either one, anyone, ladies, gents, whoever. You walk into a favorite store where they sell your favorite stuff. Let's just for argument's sake, there's a nice watch that you like or a dress that you like. You see, you like it. And then you like this feeling of me and mine, don't you? We just talked about that. You have this feeling of me and mine is good and I like to feel me and mine, and there's a watch, there's a clock there, there's a dress there. It's out there, it's not mine. But I like the feeling of mine. So if there's a dress which is out there, which is not yours, but you like the feeling of mine, what's the next thing you have to do? Purchase it. You've got to buy it. Because until you pay the shopkeeper money, you are not permitted to think of it as being yours. That's why you go shopping. That's why sometimes you go shopping and you come back with things that you don't even need. Now take a mental walk into your cupboard. Aren't there things in your cupboard that you don't need? Things that you might never have ever even used, not once, Maybe the one time you used it was when you went into the fitting room. Fit on room, tried it on, you brought it back, folded it, put it in the cupboard, and it's been there. The termites wear it, not you. You've not used it since. But why did you buy it? Think about why you bought it. It was not for convenience. It was not because you needed a dress. It was not because it was nice. It was not because it was good for the price. It was not because of any of that, folks. It was because you liked the feeling of me and mine. And then here's an object which looks nice, which looks wonderful. You want it to be mine, is in yours, but it's not right now. So you paid the money so that you'll be permitted to call it yours. And so you brought it home with you. That's what's going on with your lives. That's how you have ended up with so many things that you don't need today, you don't use today, but they still take up space, they still take up room, they still take up your time. They have costed you money at the expense of your happiness. You have sacrificed your happiness, and instead, in its place, you have taken on more and more things which you can now call yours. What's the point? See, that's what I mean. That is what ignorance is. That is the power of ignorance. So you can't shirk your shoulders to it. You have to accept that ignorance is a very powerful force on you. So are we all in agreement that this feeling of me and mine is a really nice feeling? We like that feeling. You like that feeling. So because you like that feeling, you are then attached to that feeling. You are attached to that feeling. The feeling of separation, the feeling of me, the feeling of mine. But let's not be in any doubt that there is nothing out there, there's no Vipáka that can give you the feeling of me or mine. There's no Vipáka that can do that. Make sense? There's no Vipáka that can give you a feeling of me or mine. Because what do Vipákas do? What is all that they can do? See, hear, smell, taste, touch, think. This is all that Vipáka can do. The Vipáka process cannot make you feel you. It cannot make you feel that. It cannot make you feel that you are a self. The Vipáka process cannot do that. What is the process that can do that? Which process? The karmic process. That's where we are on right now. It's the karmic process that can make you feel a sense of self. The Vipáka process cannot do that. Once again, what can the Vipáka process do? To see, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. That's all it can do. But what do you want? Me and mine. What is Vipáka willing to offer you? Seeing and sight and sound and smell and taste and touch. But what do you want? Me and mine. See, here's what Vipáka is willing to offer you. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thought. Here's what you want. Me and mine. So here's what Vipáka is willing to offer you. Here's what you want. So if this is what you want, do you think Vipáka will ever make you feel content? Can you be happy with Vipáka? You can't be happy with Vipáka. You can't be at peace with Vipáka. See, this is God. This is God. God is willing to provide. He is willing to provide. He is willing to provide everything that you need to live. This is all you need to live. See, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think. That's all you need to survive. That's all you need to live. So God gives life. He gives life. Vipáka gives you life. That's all you need. But that's not all you need. Why? You took a bite of the old apple, which is symbolic of ignorance and attachment. So with that, you wanted to become the equal of God. Isn't that what the serpent said? Why do you have to be subordinates? Why can't you become his equal? Meaning, I also want to be special. I want to be the creator. So you started the creating process. That's what happened. You started the creation process. So once you took a bite of the apple, now ignorance and attachment took place, and then came along vexation. Why vexation? Why vexation? What do you want? Me and mine. What is God willing to give you? Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thought. Not me or mine. But that's what you want. So if this is what is being given, but this is what you want, now there's a mismatch. So of course you go into vexation. So when the mind goes into vexation, now the mind has to, actually the mind doesn't know that it has to do abhisankara. That's what I started with earlier. The mind does not know what it has to do to create a sense of self. Have you seen crazy people? Swamin Hansa. What are you talking about? I come from crazy land. Sunday mornings are the only time I get any peace of mind. I know what you're thinking. Have you seen crazy people? I mean, like really, really crazy people. Not like really, really crazy people, like actual, genuine crazy people. Like, have you heard of anyone go crazy voluntarily? Is that possible, do you think? Like one fine day, I want to go crazy. Right? At the count of 3, I'm going to go crazy. 1, 2, 3, crazy. Does that happen like that? No. How does one go crazy? Exactly. They go crazy when they can't bear that amount of stress. So there's a point where they can tolerate it. Right? They'll tolerate it to a certain extent. But after that, the mind can't bear it. When the mind can't bear all that pressure, the mind switches on this crazy mode. It is not done voluntarily. So no one goes crazy knowing that they're going crazy. It doesn't happen like that. It just happens. It's involuntary. That's how someone goes crazy. They don't know that they're going crazy. I mean, otherwise they might as well just take themselves to the hospital and then go crazy there, right? Why do you have to wait until you go crazy and then someone has to take you there? You might as well go to Mullaria first and then say, right, I'm prepared to go crazy. I'm going crazy on Wednesday. I just thought I'd come in a couple of days early to settle in. No one does that. Most people are only taken by their friends or their family because they don't know that they've gone crazy. Yeah? So the mind doesn't know what it has to do to go crazy because the mind doesn't want to go crazy. See, the mind doesn't want to go crazy. The mind just wants now to experience me and mine. The mind wants to experience me and mine, but me and mine are not being provided. So what do we do? The mind knows only one thing. It just keeps on going into vexation, more and more and more vexation. That vexation just keeps on getting intensified. And there comes a threshold. At that point, the mind can't bear it anymore. And what happens? It goes into crazy mode. And here's what happens then. What doesn't exist? What doesn't exist? What didn't exist until then? And actually doesn't exist even after either. Because the mind goes into crazy mode, it now starts to hallucinate. It starts to hallucinate. That's why this is called an illusion. It's an illusion. That is what abhisankara does. See, the word abhi in Pali is new. New. Novel. Sankara is formation. So what do you think then abhi and sankara together means? A novel formation. Meaning the giving birth or a new formation of something that does not exist. This is the point where there is intense vexation. Right? Vexation has to build up to that point. Where there is intense vexation, your mind can't take it anymore. And unbeknown to the mind, abhisankara takes over. In other words, the mind starts to hallucinate. And as the mind starts to hallucinate, now energy begins to concentrate around the mind to create the sense of self. This is what happens at the bhava stage. Bhava is, you can think of it like the becoming. The becoming of something. Becoming of what? What's the mind after? What's the mind after? Me and mine. So what do you think it's becoming? Me and mine. That's what's becoming. See, once again, you start with ignorance, which is you're thinking that me and mine is good. Don't you think it right now? So you know that that's where you started, right? You have the evidence that that's where you must have started, because to this point you like the sense of me and mine. So then came attachment. Because if something's good, how can you stop attaching to yourself, right? It's not done intently. It happens inadvertently. You start to attach. The mind attaches to whatever it likes. Then comes vexation. What is vexation? A deep sense of inadequacy, if you like. There's an inadequacy. There's a necessity now. There's a need. There's a sense of longing. There's a void. Now the mind has to somehow fill that void. Vexation keeps on building to the point where it can take it no longer. And then comes abhisankara, which is the crazy mode. So the crazy mode switches on in the mind, and as a result of that, now energy, just energy, that was Vipáka energy, now takes shape to form what? To form what? What does the mind want, after all? Me and mine. It takes shape to create a sense of me and mine. And then ultimately you get to jati. Jati is the stage at which this process can terminate, can stop, because this is the stage where you now begin to sense me and mine. Fantastic. Why is it fantastic? Now you've got what you wanted. Now you've got what you wanted. What is it you wanted? Me and mine. This is how the mind creates me and mine, because it can't bear not having it. Then answer this question for me, please. If me and mine are simply illusions of your own mind, once again, if me and mine are mere illusions of the mind, what things in this world are yours? Think and answer carefully. Take all the time you need. Shall we make a list? Would you like me to repeat the question? Children, would you like me to repeat the question? If me and mine are mere creations and illusions of the mind, what things in this world are yours? Your car? Your house? Your children? Your husband? He is not mine anyway. Is he yours? Your wife then? Elder son or younger son? Which one is yours? Your job? Your money? Your bank account? Your flower garden? How about your body? How about that one? Surely your body must be yours, right? Let's ignore everything else, but your body must be yours, right? Surely? Can the body be yours? Why is that? Why can the body not be yours? What is me and mine? It's you having gone crazy. It's an illusion of the mind. When the mind goes crazy, that's when the sense of me and mine are born. These are mere feelings. These are mere mental feelings, ladies and gentlemen. Please understand this for your sake. Now let's go back to the very first talk of this series. The very first talk. When I introduced Buddhist philosophy to you, I said these words, if you remember well today. In Buddhist philosophy, there is nothing to let go. All you have to understand is nothing belongs to you to let go. If something were yours, then of course you have to let go. This is mine, now I have to let go of it. This is mine, I have to let go of that as well. But you have just come to your senses and you have realized that me and mine are mere illusions of the mind. So if they are mere illusions of the mind, what in this world is actually yours to let go? What is yours to let go? What is yours to let go? Nothing is yours to let go. So what are you struggling to let go of? The only thing you are struggling to let go of is me and mine. Your illusion of me and mine. See, nothing in this world is yours. But don't you suffer? Let's be honest now. Don't you suffer? When something happens to your child, don't you suffer? Actually, nothing has to happen. Even the sound of it, just the thought of it. Nothing has happened. Right? Nothing has happened. Let's say your child is abroad. Right? Let's say he's in Australia. And you get to hear on the news that there's been some wildfires there. And it's around the state where he lives. Right? Now, haven't you started suffering already? Why? It's not because there's a fire in Australia. No, not that. That's not why. Because if your child was with you and there's a fire, there's a fire in Australia, did you know? It's just a matter of fact. Just a matter of fact. But now it's not a mere matter of fact. Now it's more than that. Perhaps your child has gone with his friends to another state and they're okay. Right? Nothing's going on. But your mind now begins to suffer. Why does your mind begin to suffer? Because of your sense of me and mine. Not because something's happening to your boy. Not because of that. That's why external things that happen to the external world cannot shake you, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot shake you. They cannot bring you misery or fear or grief or any of those things. It's all down to your sense of self. Your sense of mine, your sense of me. But alas, it's your mind that creates it for itself. Think about this for a second. But don't you suffer enough and more in your lives? Now, your cars are parked in the car park, right? The boys are playing basketball. So all of a sudden you hear glass breaking, right? And then there's a car alarm going off as well at the same time. What are the car owners going to be thinking from here on? I mean, half of this room will leave. Even in the midst of such a profound sermon. This is a sermon that's going to help you become a Sotapanna. I'm going to get you to get Nibbana, but what's more important? Your car. Because you can't have the peace of mind from hereafter to sit down and continue to listen to the sermon. Why? Because you have a sense of self here, and that sense of self will keep on vexing you throughout the sermon, thinking, was it my car? Was it my car? Was it my car? Just imagine you came with somebody else in someone else's car. You were just a passenger. Right? Would you have the same concern? Same level of concern? Of course not. You might look at the person and go, I want to go have a check. And what would you do? Listen to the sermon again. Because you know that if you can't go home by that car, you just have to call a taxi, and you can get home. Because it's not your car. But is there such a thing called your car? Can I ask you a question? Which one of the cars parked outside is your car? Ladies and gentlemen, which one of the cars parked outside is your car? What is the answer? None of them. So what's out there? It's just a car. Where's the your part? That's here. Actually, it's not your car out there. There's car there. Your is here. It's in the room. So where's your car? Half of it is in the car park. The other half is in the hall. Do you understand what I mean? Because your and car. Only one of these two is in the car park. Which one's in the car park? They're called car parks, not your car parks, right? What are they called? Car parks, right? Not your car parks. So, what's in the car park? The car's in the car park. So, okay, the car's in the car park. Where's the your part? Where's that going on? Right now, where? Here. So, where's your car then? I rest my case. That is why you live in fear, constant fear. Because you have this feeling of self, me and mine. Because you have this feeling of me and mine, things in this world that don't actually belong to you, they have zero belonging to you. Zero, absolutely no belonging to you. Things that have absolutely no belonging to you and therefore have no reason to cause you fear. You create a sense of belonging within your mind, and then you create your own suffering. So who is the architect of your own suffering? Yourself. Because once you have this feeling of me and mine, you can't let go of fear. You can't. It's impossible. What if the economy takes a turn for the worse? What if the economy takes a turn for the worse and people start losing jobs? Let's say you have a few things that you have bought on hire purchase. Right? You have a mortgage to pay, you have a car, you have some loans to pay, right? And some other personal belongings. Some of these things you are feeding off of borrowed money. And that borrowed money have to be paid in installments, which have to be paid off of the paycheck that you get at the end of the month. Right? Now let's just assume that the economy has taken a turn for the worse and there's talk of job cuts. Does that not bring fear to your mind? Does that not bring fear to your mind? And worry. Why? Why does it bring fear and worry to your mind? Would you like me to explain to you? Will you patiently listen to me? Because there are all those things that are so precious to you. All those things are precious to you. All those things that you have bought on hire purchase or you have bought on a loan, all of those things are precious to you. And the things you want to do next week, those plans that you have made, they're precious to you because you want to go on holiday. You want to buy another car, you want to buy a nice dress, you want to buy some jewelry, you want to buy this, you want to buy that, and you want to maintain your lifestyle. Because there's me and mine. It's my lifestyle. It's my car, it's my house, it's my furniture. It's my children. I want to send them to good schools. Right? It's my job. I want to be able to say that I do a good job. I work in the city. These were some of my dreams when I was a foolish man, not a layman, foolish man. These are some of the dreams that I had. So when I had those dreams, any threat to what was me and mine was very painful to bear. That triggered fear. It triggered worry. And when such things were lost, inevitably, it triggered grief and sorrow. I couldn't help, I was helpless. Just as those of you are helpless today because of me and mine. You're helpless. Because there is nothing in this world that actually belongs to you. But when your sense of me and mine is created in your mind as an illusion of your deep vexation, when this illusion occurs in the mind, ladies and gentlemen, you can't stop yourself from thinking that they belong to you. And so when everyone in the world thinks that things belong to each other, now you have business. Otherwise, how could you do business? When you do business, you exchange things, right? Exchange things that belong to whom? To each other. So when you go to the shop, you give money that belongs to you and take goods that belong to the shopkeeper. That's how you can do business. You exchange things, you exchange belongings. That's what you do. See, isn't the sense of belonging merely a sense of belonging? Otherwise, how does the money know whose pocket it has to go into next? How does the money know that? Now, if you shortchange the guy, does the money protest? Imagine you had to pay 1,000 rupees. You've paid 800, another 200 rupees by mistake. You put into your own pocket. Does the money from your pocket, hey, I don't belong in your pocket, I belong in his pocket. Does the money protest? Why not? Because the money doesn't know anything about belonging. If the shopkeeper gives you less than what you have paid for, you paid for 3, but he's only given you 2. Let's say there are bars of soap. Does one soap bar come running behind you and jump into the boot? Hey, you forgot me. No, why not? Because they don't have a sense of belonging. In other words, there is nothing called belonging in this world. There's no such thing called belonging in this world. Belonging only exists in your world. Where is that world? It's called crazy world. It's only in the crazy world does belonging exist. The concept of belonging does not exist, ladies and gentlemen. Because the concept of belonging does not exist. But you still want to feel that sense of belonging, what you have to do is create it now. And that's what you do. So until you bring a stop to this process, you can never rest in peace. That much I can tell you. You can hope all you like and dream all you like and earn all the money you like and imagine a bright, nice, comfortable future for you. But until you stop this process from occurring in your mind, you will not be able to sleep easy. You will not be able to rest in peace. You cannot, because it's impossible. How can you when your mind keeps on creating a sense of self? See, with every citta it does that. With every citta it does that. If what we have explained to you so far does not make sense, please put your hand up. If that did not make sense, please put your hand up. Wonderful. Now tell me, do you accept that this is true because I'm a monk? Or because the Buddha said so? If this was the truth to be found in the Quran, would it still not be the truth? If these truths were found in the Bible, would this still not be the truth? If this was found in some book, in a library somewhere, would it still not be the truth? If this were written in manuscripts, would it still not be the truth? Even if it weren't written down somewhere, would it still not be the truth? Is it the truth because someone said so? Because the Buddha said so? Is that why this is the truth? Is it because I'm a Swami Nuhanse, this becomes the truth to you? Then why is it the truth to you? Because you apply it to your life and it makes sense. You know that in your life you suffer because of things that you think are yours. You have never suffered, not once, ladies and gentlemen, have you suffered because of something that you never thought was yours. Only you and yours always got you to suffer. Only when something happened to you, or something happened to things that you thought were yours, did you suffer. Other times it was a matter of fact. It was a matter of fact. See how selfish you are. You can't help it, because this is what selfishness is. See, self-ishness. That is what selfishness is. Now, ignore the stigma that comes with selfishness for a second. I'm not talking about the dirty, ugly selfishness. I'm talking about the factual selfishness. Here's the sense of self. And if there's something that makes you feel like this, something that's related to this, then it has to be selfishness. Then that is selfishness. Those who are not selfish, please put your hand up. It's okay. I don't judge. There's no one in this room who can claim to be non-selfish or altruistic. You can't claim to be that, because it's not you who's being selfish. Selfishness occurs in the mind. I know you don't like it now. Because as we explain the concept of selfishness and how ugly it is and how dirty it is and how it makes you suffer and how it creates this illusion in your mind when there is nothing that actually belongs to you. Don't you agree with me that you suffer unnecessarily now? Shall we do a quick experiment? I want you to think for a second that this belongs to you. Okay? Just make believe. Imagine that this belongs to you. Whereas this doesn't. Where's its cap? I think I might have dropped the cap. Imagine this does not belong to you, and this one does. Okay? Ready? This, can you see it? I don't want it to dry up. I don't think it's this. It's not that. So this does not belong to you, and this one does. Okay? Which one belongs to you? The blue pen. Which one doesn't? The black pen. Right? Which one actually belongs to you? Which one actually belongs to you? The blue one? No. So what is the sense of belonging there? It's only a sense of belonging. See, can't all of you think that this belongs to you? Each one of you, can you not think that this belongs to you? But let's just assume that this can only belong to one person at once. I'm trying to prove a point to you here. Let's assume that a pen can only have one owner. Okay? So I hold it up here and I say, I want all of you to think that this belongs to you. Can't you? Can't you? You can, right? So right now, everyone in this room, each one of you is thinking that this belongs to you, but this can only have one owner. Those are the rules. But that didn't stop you from thinking that it belongs to you. Meaning, it's nothing going on here. It's just a thought that occurs in the mind. There are no rules there. No regulations. There are no rules to ownership because it's only an illusion. In your dream worlds, when you see dreams, physics don't apply, right? Haven't you seen elephants fly? In your dreams, elephants flying? Haven't you seen yourself flying? See, physics don't apply, right? So rules, regulations, laws, they don't apply in dream worlds, right? Just like in this world where you think something belongs to you. Rules don't apply. Why do rules not apply? Because it's only an illusion. That's why. As much as it may be that it is an illusion, isn't your suffering still very real? Isn't your suffering still very real? See, when you have a wife or a girlfriend, for that matter, right? Let's take a few more real-life examples. I just want you to be sick and tired of this bugger. Which one? Your sense of self. At least if you can walk out of this room, fed up of this sense of self, from here on at least you'll start to work to eradicate it. Think for a moment, your wife, your girlfriend, whoever, right? This is this special person in this world who you think belongs to you, right? Do you think that stops others from thinking that, would it not be nice if she were mine? Do you think it stops others from thinking like that? Just because you think she's my wife. Okay? So imagine you're walking down, you're going shopping with your wife, you're in the supermarket. You're holding your wife's hand, right? There's another guy in the supermarket. He sees her and he thinks to himself, I'd like a bit of that. Now, technically, your wife can only belong to you, right? That's the rule. One woman belongs to? That's fine, say it out loud. One woman belongs to one man. Is that so? Permit me to say something to you? You'll be glad that you don't know how many men sleep with your wife in their minds. Sorry. Sorry to say. But what do the rules say? She's only mine. Does that stop people from doing what I just said earlier? The unthinkable, the unspeakable? Does it stop people from doing that? No, why not? Why not? Because your thinking is flawed. That's why. You think that she's your wife. That's only in your little world. Because she does not belong to you really. You think she belongs to you. It's an illusion. In the world of illusions, there are no rules, no regulations, no laws, no principles, no ethics. That's why I say, you have no idea, gentlemen, how many men walking down the street sleep with your wife in their minds. Perhaps tonight you are not even going to be staying at home with your wife, but someone might be going home tonight. And in his mind, he'll be sleeping with your wife. Stop that if you can. Wife owners in the house. That's true, right? Car owners, house owners, and wife owners. I speak to the husbands here. Wife owners in the house. Stop other men from sleeping with your wife in their minds. Stop it, I dare you. Accept the challenge if you can. Why can't you accept that challenge? Because you're thinking that she's only mine and only I can with her is only your own thinking. That sense of belonging is merely fictitious. It's mere fiction. It's not fact. It's fiction. No rules, no principles, no ethics, no regulations. But you don't like the thought, do you? You don't like the thought, do you? That's why you're very protective. You don't like someone thinking like that about your partner or your wife or your spouse or whoever. You don't like the thought of that. In fact, if you had the slightest hint that someone was thinking like that about your other half, what might you do? You might feel threatened, right? You might get aggressive. You might approach them and say, hey, mister, mind your own business, she's mine. She's She's mine. Because she's mine, you're not supposed to look at her. Says who? Your mind. Says who? Says the mind that's just gone into illusion. This is a crazy mind. That's the thing. When you go dressed really nice to a party, if you're wearing something real flashy, you have no idea how many people think of these things about you, or your other half, or maybe your daughters. So who's bad? Are they bad? Are they dirty men? Dirty men with dirty minds? Is that what they are? So what should we do with them? Put them into mental prison? And correct them because they are wrong? Their thinking is completely wrong, so we have to put them into some kind of a correctional facility? If their thinking is wrong, what about your thinking? What about your thinking then, I ask you? You're saying their thinking is wrong because he thinks about my daughter in that way. He's wrong. He should not be thinking about someone like that. He's thinking about my wife in that way. He should not be thinking about my wife like that because she's my wife. How dare? If he wants a wife, he can go and have one. Why does he look at my wife? Right? The wife owners in the house might say. So if you're suggesting that he is wrong, what about you? What about you? Are you right? Is there such a thing called my wife? There's a wife, yes. But what about my wife? Can there be such a thing? No, there cannot be such a thing, ladies and gentlemen, because this my, me, mine, my, these are all illusions of your mind. When the mind goes into vexation, the mind then works to come out of that vexation, and then it goes crazy, and it creates this sense of belonging, and that is what you experience. But how much do you live in fear? Just imagine, you go with your wife to the restaurant, right? She sits down at the table. Let's just say she's she's glammed up, she's looking very nice today, right? Very nicely dressed and all that. And there are quite a few men around, right? You've taken her to the restaurant. Now you want to go to the washroom. Who do you ask to babysit your wife? With whom can you leave your wife? Okay, too disturbing? Daughter then. With whom can you bring yourself to leave your daughter with? Let's say mother and father, you have to go abroad for a few years for work, let's just say. Right, your daughter is only 16. So she can't come with you because she has to stay here for her education. Who are you going to leave your daughter with? Your closest friend? Leave your daughter with your best friend. Leave her with a distant uncle? What, have you not lived long enough on this planet to learn about all those atrocities? Let's just assume that nothing's going to happen to her. Let's just assume that you're going to leave her with a saint. Right? Nothing's going to happen to her. But you can't stop fear from taking over. Why can't you stop fear taking over? Nothing's going to happen to her, and we can vouch for that. Nothing's going to happen to her, I guarantee. But you still can't stop fear from taking over. Why not? Because she's my daughter. This is the curse of me and mine. But you go to sleep at night with it. You take your diabetic pills, don't you though? You take your diabetic medicine before you go to bed. Medicine for your heart, medicine for your lungs, medicine for your this, that and the other. Your pressure pills and your diabetes pills and your whatevers. But you go to sleep at night with me and mine, don't you? That's okay. You're worried that pressure will kill you. High blood pressure, hypertension, and you'll be dead. You're worried about that. You don't want to get high blood pressure in the middle of the night. You're worried about that. You're worried that, a fatty liver might kill you. You're worried that too much cholesterol might kill you, so you make sure you take your cholesterol pill. But what about me and mine? You go to bed at night with me and mine. And you have no problem about that. No worry about that. What do you think is your biggest problem in life? Financial stability? Education? A place to live? Education for your children? Giving them a good upbringing? Are these the most important concerns of your life? I ask you. Is getting that next promotion more important to you than getting rid of me and mine? Think. But to get that next promotion, you will work from Monday to Friday. To get rid of me and mine, you will work on Sunday morning. That's it. What can I say? To work on your next promotion, to get your next promotion, you will work from Monday to Friday. And if the boss wants you, you will also pull in a Saturday. That's okay. To get that car, the latest model, to buy that car, you will work an extra few hours. That's okay. To build that extension to your house, to expand it so you have an extra bedroom with an attached bathroom, you will work extra time. You don't mind that. You will work through your holidays for that. You don't mind that. You will do an extra job for even. That's fine. Moonlighting is fine for that. But how often will you stay up night? 1 extra hour. Half an hour extra. 15 minutes extra. To get rid of me and mine. What is it that causes suffering in your life, ladies and gentlemen? Is it not having a job, not having money, not having food to eat, not having children, not having this, that, or the other? Or is it having me and mine? This is what has hijacked your life. Me and mine. You have no hope for a peaceful night. You have no hope to rest in peace until me and mine are gone. The pitiful state of the matter is, me and mine are only in your mind. It does not exist in the outside world. So no one gives a damn about yours and you and yours. No one gives a damn. There's another word you can put in there. No one gives a, you know what. No one does. They don't because me and mine don't exist. That's why they don't. That's why they don't. Me and mine only exist in your world. So the only one who gives a damn about it is who? 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 I'm saying who? You're the only one. But you expect other people to care about you and yours, right? That's why you say, don't hurt me and my feelings. Don't talk to me like that. Don't take what is mine, that's mine. Don't take what is mine. Take whatever else you want, but don't take what is mine. No one gives a damn. Because you're the only one who experiences me and mine. Your me and mine is yours and yours alone. Nobody else senses that. Nobody even gets a hint of that. No one. There's not a single soul in this world besides yourself who experiences your me and your mine. So how can they care about it? Well, then why do you ask your other half, why don't you care about me? Why don't you think about my feelings before you say things like that? To which his answer or her answer should be, what me? What you? I can't think about you and yours because all I can think about is, what would they say? Me and mine for them. So no wonder. No wonder they will say things when they're vexed to you, because all they can care about is their me and their mine, not your me and your mine. Why do you expect them to care about your me and your mine? Am I making sense? If this makes sense to you, then you will stop pointing your finger at the outside world and demanding that they take into consideration how you think, how you feel, what you want, your desires, your preferences. You'll stop doing that. If you have come to your senses that me and mine are merely your own creations, your own illusions, only you experience your me and your mine, no one else in this world is even the slightest aware of it, not the tiniest bit aware of it. How can you avoid banging into something you don't know that exists? Answer that question for me. You expect someone not to tread on something they don't know that exists. If someone tramples on your foot by mistake, what do they say? I'm sorry, I didn't see. So they put their foot there because they didn't see that your foot was there. Yes? And you would do the same. You would apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I really didn't see your foot there. So they cannot be cautious or be careful to not hurt or harm something that they cannot see the existence of, right? Agreed or not? So if your sense of self and your sense of me and your sense of mine is only yours and no one else can sense that, why do you expect other people to give two hoots about it? Why do you expect other people to care about it? How can they? How could they? So if you want to find peace in this world, there's only one thing you can do. Only one thing you can do, ladies and gentlemen. This is a ghost. This is your ghost. This is your apparition. This is your dream. This is your illusion. This is your mental fabrication. This is your lunatic creation. This is you having gone crazy. Come to your senses. Stop expecting people to bow their heads down to you and listen to what you have to say. Come on. Why would they listen to what you have to say when what you have to say is yours alone? Yours and yours alone? This is what who has to say? I have to say. Why don't they listen to what I have to say? Doesn't that come to your mind from time to time? I've tried my level best to convince these people. I've talked to them, I've lectured to them, but they just won't listen. I've tried to explain things to them. I've logically explained everything to them. Right? I've shown them the files. I've shown them what they have to do, what they shouldn't be doing, all that, and yet they go and do what they wanted. Everyone who's been in that situation, wink your eyes. Well, there you go. We've all been there. You expect people to listen to you, don't you? Parents, what do you want your children to do? That's why don't bring your children here. Because they will use this against you. What do you want your children to do? Listen to you. What do you want your husbands to do? Husband owners? Listen to you. What do you want your wives to do? Wife owners? Listen to you. What do you want your car to do? When you turn your steering left, what do you want the car to do? Listen to you, right? You want the car to turn left, but sometimes it doesn't. When you apply the brakes, you want the car to listen to you and do what? Stop, but sometimes the car doesn't. How does the car know what you want? How does the car know what you want? At the workplace, you want your workers, your subordinates to listen to you. You want your boss to listen to you. You try and explain to your boss this, that, this, give explanations, and you want them to understand you, but they don't. And then what do you think? Who do you think is wrong in that situation? They are wrong. How do you find peace in a world like that? What shall we do? Take a communication class. Communication one-on-one. How to manage communications with your boss and your workers and your subordinates and your colleagues. Let's take a course on mastering the art of communication. And we'll learn all the skills as to how to communicate, make sure that the message has been communicated, and check with them, verify that they have heard what the message was, relay it back to you, right? Let's learn all those skills, right? And then still keep our own desires of what we want and me and mine. And then when they still don't do what you want them to do, let's complain. If there's another way you can find peace, you let me know. I will come with you. That's all I can say. There is no other refuge. There is no other refuge. That is why I ask you, you're prepared to spend Monday to Friday at work. What time do you wake up in the morning to get to work? 4? 5? 4, 5-ish? Okay, 5. Then you get to work. You spend your whole day there, right? And then you come back home at 6, 7, 8. You're still nodding. 9, 10. The following day? Most of you will probably bring your work home as well. So there's no divide between home and work. It's all now just one thing, isn't it? It's now all just one thing. It's because you have now work from home. They don't have home from work. Look at it. That's funny, isn't it? Shouldn't they have that as well? If they have work from home, shouldn't they have home from work? They don't do that. So Monday to Friday, work, and then Saturday, put in a few extra hours because you have that report that has to get done before its deadline. Otherwise, the company is going to lose out big time, and that's going to hit your bonus, right? So again, we need money, we need this, we need that, we need fame, we need glory, we need the promotions, we need respect, we need recognition. And all these things that my paycheck goes to pay. The nice house, with the pool, with the badminton court, with the gym, and the car that I want to buy, and all these other things that I want to maintain and I want to live a good life. All these things that I want for myself, me and my and me and my and me and mine. For all that you have 6.5 days of time to put. Sunday morning you come here. To get rid of me and mine. The rest of the time, you're providing what me and mine wants. 1/2 of a day, you're trying to get rid of me and mine. You give me the scores. Who's going to win? This is why I urge you. Please come to your senses. Here lies the problem. The problem is not with you not having what you want. The problem is with you wanting things. Vipáka does not want anything. Vipáka does not want anything. Vipáka is merely seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, no desires. Doesn't want anything. Doesn't want anything and doesn't not want anything either. No repulsion, no attraction, neither. It's very neutral. Vipáka is neutral. But then you have the sense of self. That all came with a wanting for this sense of self, this sense of belonging. And the moment that struck your minds, you went into attachment because you liked it. Vipāka came along, you were looking to experience that sense of self, but Vipāka does not bring a sense of self, it only brings seeing. It doesn't bring I am seeing, it doesn't bring the I am part, it doesn't bring it with it. It brings hearing, but it doesn't bring I am hearing. So it wasn't there, but you wanted it. So what did you have to do? Actually, you didn't know what you were doing. All you could do was vex, keep on vexing, keep on vexing, keep on vexing. And once the vexation came to a point where you couldn't bear it anymore, the mind went into crazy mode. And then you started hallucinating. With your hallucination, now comes along a sense of I am. That's it. Now it's not just the Vipāka seeing, now I am seeing. When I am seeing, this I has things that it wants to see. It has desires. It has aversion. Because delusion has already struck. Delusion is that I. Once delusion strikes, then the whole world splits in two. Things that I like and things that I don't like. For there to be things I like and things I don't like, who has to come first? Who has to come first? I have to come first, of course. So the moment I comes into this world, now there are things that I like, things that I don't like, things that I dislike. That's what's happened to you. So who's responsible for your suffering? Me? Your dog? The tax collector? Or is it the politicians? They're the ones who you always point your fingers at, right? Ah, these bloody politicians. That's what you always say. Are they the reason for your suffering? Is it the weather? Then who are you? Who's responsible for your own suffering? You are responsible for your own suffering. You created this sense of suffering, ladies and gentlemen. No one else did it for you. You created it. You only suffer because you create suffering in your own mind. Can you all agree with me on this? That's a huge victory. That alone is a victory. If you can accept, now having proven to you logically, thoroughly, categorically, that you are the creator of your own suffering. If you can accept that, here's the first thing that will stop. You get into arguments, altercations, fights, conflict with others. Because now you have taken the blame. You have to start to take the blame now. You have to start to take responsibility for your own suffering. So let's stop the day that today has to be the day that you stop pointing your finger at other people and other things. No one else is responsible for your suffering. Then there's something else you have to do after that. Once you have stopped doing that, next, your life's purpose has to be to get this to stop. That has to be your life's purpose. So work on that. This is the only thing on which time spent is worthwhile. Everything else, remember the other day I talked about lay life in a nutshell? We talked about that. Right? The real problem is down here. Wanting is down here. The things you want are not there, so you go looking for the things you want. But let's be honest, most of the time that of your life you spend in that space up there, trying to acquire the things that you have, well, you don't have, but you want in life. Whereas here's where wanting occurs. Me and mine. Because once you want me, once you want mine, now you want things. Right? Because here's a pen, where should it be? If it's a good pen, it should be with you. So then you will work to get this. And if I tell you this is 250 rupees, then you'll be prepared to pay it. Depends on how badly you want it. When you want something so badly, it wouldn't matter to you what it is. That's why you pay lots and lots and lots of money to buy for yourself pieces of little rocks, don't you? Yes or no? Just fragments of metal? We talked about this last week. You know, if a diamond was on the ground, right? Your dog or your cat was walking around it, and it needed to, do its thing, right? And it wants to pass stools, and there's a diamond on the floor. What do you think the dog's going to do? Your pet dog and your diamond's on the floor, right? The dog wants to pass stools, and now what's the dog going to do? Diamond. What's the dog going to do? It's going to do its thing. Why? Because the diamond does not have any intrinsic value. But aren't you prepared to spend many days, weeks, months of your life to work hard, or spend the money that you have earned, having worked for so long, to acquire a diamond, and then to think to yourself that you have something of value with you? See, in acquiring something of fake value, you have just expended something of real value. What is the thing of real value? Your life. Please don't think to yourself that it is time that you spend to earn things. It is life that you spend to earn things. That's why you can't get it back. You will already have spent many years of your lives trying to earn things that are only of fake value, but you have actually spent things of true and real value. So have a think about these things as you decide where you want to take your life from here on. The next steps of your lives. Mistakes have happened in the past, but that doesn't mean mistakes have to happen from here on. If you know that this is the truth, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why you don't want to spend the rest of your lives with this truth. It really amazes me. Why you wouldn't want to spend the rest of your life with this truth? In an environment where you get to hear this truth every day, day in, day out, and practice this truth, and are encouraged to practice this truth every day. Because a moment away from this truth is a moment in a lie. A moment away from this truth is a moment in a lie, in falsehood. And you know what falsehoods does to you. Falsehoods do to you, rather. Always create suffering in your mind. So once again I ask those of you who are capable, those of you who are able to come forth, those of you who have the means to do it, those of you who have the freedom to do it, why do you delay it? When I have proven to you, time and time again, when I have proven to you that nothing else is worth doing, who are you delaying your salvation on behalf of? Those who have no understanding about your salvation. You might say, I have to stay back because my mother, my father, they don't approve of it. If your mother and father have no way of looking after themselves, I can understand them. You might have to provide for them and create and set up a means to do that. But if it's because they don't approve of it, what you're really saying is there are people who don't see the truth. They are still living in a lie. And because I don't want to upset them, I will also continue living in a lie. That's what you're saying, really, in essence. I'm not inviting you to become monks or anagarikas. I'm inviting you to come and practice the truth. Because this is your only salvation. If you're going to wait until everyone in the world gives you the vote and say, yeah, you can go. Your uncle is also happy with it. Your aunt is also happy with that. Next door neighbors are also happy with that. Like the postman is also happy with that. And then you have the milkman, he's also happy with that. If you're going to wait until they're all happy with it, that day is never going to come. Why won't they all be happy with it? Because they don't understand the Dhamma. All they can say is this: with you gone, they have lost something in their lives. So to them, they're still living in the old world. They still have desires. They want you in their lives, and now they're going to lose you. But that is not where real suffering is it? It's not in losing the things you want, suffering exists. It's in wanting, suffering exists. But they haven't seen the truth. Because they're still at home. They don't come here. They don't practice the Dhamma. They don't listen to the Dhamma. They don't watch the Dhamma on YouTube or whatever. So why would they be happy with you leaving? It makes no sense. But the stakes are high. With every passing day, with every passing year, with every passing opportunity, you're losing valuable life that you need to practice this truth. So particularly to the young people in the audience, I speak to you again and I ask you, whose vote are you waiting on? The votes of the ignorant? I'm sorry to say, if your mother has not understood the Dhamma, then she's ignorant. That's not an insult to her. It's just a fact. She's ignorant. I'm not saying she's not intelligent. She might be intelligent, but she's still ignorant. What is she ignorant of? The fact that suffering lies here, not up there. So she still wants you in her life. Because to her, she exists, so me exists, me and mine exist, so therefore my daughter, my son have to be with me. Of course. What do you expect? When's the day she's going to be okay? For that to happen, then she has to begin to understand that me and mine are only illusions. For that, she has to be here. If she understands this, she will come with me before you do. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time on things that are not going to happen. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't waste your time on things that are not going to happen. If you're going to wait until the sun rises from the west, good luck to you. That's the same like saying, I'm going to wait until my parents give me the A-OK to go forth because they're not happy yet. Right? They haven't given their blessings to us. My uncle has not given his blessing to me. My aunt has not given her blessing. My grandmother, parents are okay, but grandmother is still not okay. She will give you blessings in another few years anyway, when she's gone. But through those years, you will still be living in, I don't like to say a lay life, you're going to be living in a lame life. Why do I say a lame life? Because you're going to live in lameness, meaning you're going to live with ignoble association. You're going to be living with people who constantly keep telling you, the problem's not down here, it's not with me and mine, it's with the things that have to be yours but are not yet, so let's go get them. Let's go shopping. Let's go shopping. Let's go to the theater. Let's have a party. Let's go on a trip. Isn't this what your friends tell you? Isn't this what your friends tell you, what your mates tell you? Let's go watch some sport. That's what your mates tell you. Because there's me and mine, there are my sights, mine sights, and I want to see them, I want to hear them, I want to smell them, I want to taste them, I want to have them. They're not yet, so let's go get them. Very worldly. That's a fool's paradise. So that's why I say, if there are those here who are capable of making this journey, the journey that many have made before you, so what's there to fear? I have to ask again. What's there to fear? If you are the first monk in the Buddha's asana, then perhaps, right? Who knows? Maybe the Buddha is lying. But when you have seen 200 monks at the monastery, each and every one of us devoted to our practice, having understood the Dhamma, steadfast on this and resolved on this and determined to get to the other side because we can and we know it's possible. When you have 150 anagarikas and a growing population of them, all young ladies, all this side of 40, who are in the prime of their lives, they have not come to this asana because they're ugly and no one would have them. That's not why. They have come looking for the truth. Among them may be those who fought for women's freedom. But today they realize that women's freedom is not to be equals with men. What is the point of being equal to another ignorant person? If men are as ignorant as women, what's the point of trying to be their equals? Right? What they are fighting for today is to be the equal of Arahants. Fight for that. So if there are feminists in the room, don't try to fight to be equals with men. That's not a fight worth fighting. Because men are just as ignorant. Fight to be an equal of an Arahant. Someone who is neither man nor woman. That is the fight you have to fight. That is the battle worth fighting. For that, come forth. And if you're going to wait until you get all the votes and the preferential votes, good luck. It's virtually impossible because you're waiting for a vote from someone who does not understand what you're going to do, who you are, what you want to do. They have no understanding of it. And there's one other thing I want to share with you as well. Just because your mother and father brought you into this world doesn't mean that you belong to them. Because nothing belongs to anyone. No one belongs to anyone. That's a legal matter. Just because you and your husband or you and your wife decide to live as man and woman doesn't mean that you as an individual belong to that person. You have a contribution towards marriage, yes, but that doesn't mean you belong to the other person. Yes or no? What do you think? Do you think you belong to another person? Do you? That you actually belong to another person, head to toe? If you do, then ask them to stop you ailing, getting ill, falling sick. Get them to stop doing all that as well, if you actually belong to someone else. You don't belong to anyone. You don't even belong to yourself. How can you belong to someone else? So take a decision. Decide what you want for your life. Because after all is done and said, or said and done, whatever, you're the one who's going to suffer. Your freedom is your freedom. Your suffering is your suffering. That's the only thing that belongs to you. Your freedom and your suffering. Nothing else belongs to you. These are the only two things that belong to you. Your Nibbāna and your suffering. The only two things that belong to you. Your house doesn't belong to you. Your car doesn't belong to you. Your children don't belong to you. Your wife doesn't belong to you. Your job doesn't belong to you. Because all of these things, when you leave, someone else will take over. Someone else will take over without a problem. Remember, it is till death do us part. After that, they'll part. Then someone else takes over. Then you become old currency. That's it. Then you become like an old postage stamp. It's a collector's item. That's it. An old postage stamp has no value, right? You can't stick it on a letter and post it again. You become an old postage stamp. It's a collector's item. Some people like to keep them, that's all. So please think to yourself, ladies and gentlemen, what you want with your lives and decide wisely. Now, one last thing before we conclude. Today I have brought with me a young man who have been listening to these talks. You know, if he had decided not to come, then his parents would not have been able to make that journey either. You know what it's like. You come, if it were in the same country at least, something could be done. But imagine, today his mother is a Sila Shavika. His younger sister is part of the 13 minus little children's program, little girls. So she's waiting to turn 14. As soon as she does, she'll be a proud member of the Anagarika family. How old is your sister? 9. She says only 9. I say only 9, but if you ever get a chance, listen to her. Then you'll be on cloud 9. She can so eloquently express the Dhamma, explain some of these concepts at age 9. That's the thing, it's not about age. It's not about where you were, not about where you started. It's about if you have listened to the Dhamma, if the Dhamma has done what it has to do to you, then that transformation happens, ladies and gentlemen. There's no time or place for that. His parents were both lecturers at universities, educated people, really well to do. So to pack up everything and then come down to Sri Lanka and settle down here? What are you waiting for? You don't have oceans to cross, do you? That's the thing. Is it too easy? Is that what it is? Is it too easy for you? Is that what it is? Should it be a little bit more difficult? So please think about it. His mother, when he wanted to come, of course, with a young girl, that was a huge responsibility. So initially she came with her and sent her to our school, enrolled her in the school, and let her try it out and see how she would settle. But the Anagarika Mahatmyas, of course, they didn't just let her be. They gave her the Dhamma, this young girl, 9 years of age, and she began to learn the Dhamma, understand the Dhamma, and began to realize that what she has to do is this. So today she doesn't cry asking for the TV or to play with dolls. She doesn't ask for nice dresses. But what does your 9-year-old ask for? What does your 10-year-old ask for? 12-year-old? 15-year-old? 16-year-old? 18-year-old? 20-year-old? See, that doesn't change. Age doesn't mature. The Dhamma matures. The age is just a number. You just want different things as you grow older. You don't not want things. You just want different things as you grow older. But these are people whose lives have been touched by the Dhamma and they have been transformed. That is why I have brought him here today. To show you, ladies and gentlemen, that change can happen in any heart. It doesn't matter what age it is. Make it happen for you. Don't wait another day, don't wait another week, don't wait another month, don't wait to get all those votes. Because you're expecting votes from people who have not seen your manifesto. Why would they vote for you? What is your manifesto today? To rid yourself of the sense of self, right? But they haven't read your manifesto. So why would they vote for you? They only know up here. The only path to happiness is to get what they want. And you are one of the things they want. So why would they give you up? Think about it. And we were able to bring him and his sister down because we had the Little Britain program at the monastery. An immersive environment where it doesn't matter now whether you speak Sinhalese or not. We have that environment at the monastery where children from all parts of the world, as long as they speak a little bit of English and they can get along, enough English to survive, as long as they have that, they can come and educate at our school because we have both Sinhala and English mediums there, and you can live and learn the Dhamma. So there's a separate English program at the monastery. All of the activities that we do in Sinhalese is also done in English. So they have the precepting to the talks that they are given by the teachers. All of that happens also in English. That is all part of the Little Britain program. So Little Britain was designed for children under the age of 18 who needed an immersive environment so that they could come and live here. Because if we didn't speak the language, if that wasn't available, we would not have been able to create an environment for them or bring them here. So that is a project that we've been talking to you about, and something that you want to be part of. So it's people like him and many others out there who you will be able to support by supporting something like Little Britain. So that's coming. We will be sharing information about that in the upcoming weeks. I think many of you had signed up to the program, and I want to thank you for that. Because it's a selfless giving. Like the Buddha said earlier, his learning 5 languages is not something that he needs. He's learning Sinhalese, yes, that helps to understand most of what's going on, but he knows English, and that's enough to get all the Dhamma that you need at the monastery. But he's learning many other languages so that he can take this to the rest of his friends, to the rest of the world. In the same vein, you're doing something to help many others to come and live and experience and thrive in the sasana. That is what Little Britain is all about. Because this Dhamma does not belong just to the Buddhist people. It doesn't belong just to the Sinhalese people. It doesn't belong to the Asian people, right? What is belonging after all? An illusion. So who does the Buddha belong to? No one. Who does the Dhamma belong to? The Sangha? No one. Who does the truth belong to? No one. If something belongs to no one, it belongs to everyone. So it is our task to take it as far and wide as possible. So once again, thank you for being part of that initiative. And for those who have signed up, we will be sharing details of that in the coming weeks. If there are still people who are interested, then please do sign up, as updates will start to be coming out, I think, in the next week or so. We have been organizing ourselves to design the place that we want to construct and to work with the respective people to find out what's going where, the architecture of the place and all that. And so that is now being finalized. In the coming weeks, information about that will become available. So if there's anyone who's still interested, please, how do they register? There's a form. There's a form on the WhatsApp group. Yes. So you know where to find it. Please register yourselves and be part of liberation for many people. Remember, what you give is what you get. Right, let's leave it there. Forgot to add. There's an offer that we have made available at the monastery. You know that we don't go out doing Sinhalese sermons, but we do English sermons. So if there are any of you who would like to arrange a sermon in English at your private residence or for small groups, maybe perhaps to your friends, you want to introduce the Dhamma, perhaps it's too early to bring them to a place like this or to the monastery, but you might want to bring some of your close friends together, maybe some members of your family, and you would like to organize a sermon for them. We can do it in English, and they are now available from this point forward. Not international yet, within the country. So if you have such a need to organize something like that, then please do. All you have to do is contact the monastery and make a request for it. I think it would be a fantastic opportunity to start getting the Dhamma out, drip feed people initially. If we can get them to start joining these programs, these sermons, then they'll start to become part of the community. But for that, perhaps, if they don't come to the Swamin Wahanse, what we are saying is now the Swamin Wahanse is ready to go to them. We were not able to do it for a long time because we just didn't have the numbers. But thanks to initiatives like Little Britain, there are the children as well as the teachers who get enough practice in the language. Now we have a sizable number of individuals, both Swamin Wahanses and Anagarikas, who are capable of taking the Buddha's Dhamma out far and wide. Charita bhikkhave charikam bahujana hitaya bahujana sukhaya. So please make this opportunity available. It could be a birthday party, not the party itself, but that could be the occasion. Don't invite us to the party. But the birthday could be the occasion, or maybe an anniversary, right? Or you don't have to, just create an excuse, right? If you want to give people the truth, why do you need this? Why do you need an event for that? So that's over to you. Make use of the service that has now been made available to you. Right, let's do the merit transfer and bring today's sermon to a close. First and foremost, and let us all take a moment to transfer the merits that we have all acquired. By inviting the Swami Nuas to deliver the sermon and creating a conducive environment for all to come along and practice the Dhamma, let us remind ourselves that these merits are well deserved by those who have made incredible efforts to preserve and protect the sublime teachings of the Buddha and pass it down through the generations of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is available today to study, understand, and comprehend the Dhamma. Let us take a moment to transfer these merits to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, upasakas and upasikas throughout the world, as well as the Mahanayakas, the Anunayakas of all the chapters who have diligently practiced the Dhamma and commit themselves to protect and preserve the teachings of the Buddha. Let us also transfer these merits to my teacher, Guru Swami Nuhanse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery and the Anagarikas and Anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let us take a moment to transfer these merits to those who make great efforts to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha, be that by translating these talks, sharing them out with others, or inviting others to join them. May they all rejoice in these merits. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to friends of the monastery, our devotees, who for the sake of their own Nibbana continue to sustain the Mahasangha by providing the Mahasangha with shelter, arms, robes, and medicines, as well as extend their know-how and continue to extend their well wishes. May they all rejoice in these merits, and by the power of these merits, may they be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcome any obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, and nieces, our friends, our acquaintances, our employers and our employees, our teachers, as well as anyone and everyone who have helped us, supported us, and assisted us in any way, shape, or form. May they all rejoice in these merits, and by the power of these merits, may they be freed of any physical and mental ailments and overcoming obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to the Devas and Brahmas, spirits and demons, primarily the Sakadeva, as well as all the numerous gods and deities who have committed themselves to fulfill and preserve the Sambuddha Sasana. Let us transfer these merits to our guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to our forefathers, our ancestors, those who have passed away in our name, reminding ourselves that it is in their blood, sweat, and tears today we are able to enjoy the comforts of life as we do and practice the path in peace and harmony. Let us transfer these merits to members of the armed forces as well as the police force who sacrifice their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation, as well as those who lost their lives in the wars, be their friend or foe. Let us transfer this message to those who lost their lives in natural disasters and calamities such as tsunamis and earthquakes, landslides, fires, floods, pandemics, and so on, reminding ourselves that in this infinitely long journey of samsara, they will all have been mothers and fathers to us, friends to us, would have supported us and assisted us, and with an abundance of loving kindness and compassion towards all of them, let us transfer all these merits that we have acquired to all. May by the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful planes, they redeem themselves to be born in the blissful planes. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may by the power and blessings of all the merits that we have all acquired today, we will witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of Arahants on this blessed land, and may you and I, and everyone who's helped make this program a success, become Arahatan Nuhanse, or an Arahatirani Nuhanse in this life itself, and in the era of the Gautama Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. Members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga kinnan nidatva Desha ginnan nidatva Moha ginnan nidatva Nibbāna parama sukhayan Sukhita taravatva Nibbāna parama sukhayen sukhitatara vedmā mamada siyalu loka siyalu satnayo Nibbāna parama sukhayen sukhitatara vedmā Nibbāna parama sukhayen sukhitatara vedmā Nibbāna parama sukhayen sukhitatara vedmā Rajagiriya niveva Dveshagiriya niveva Mohagiriya niveva Nivan sapa labeva Nivan sapa labeva Nivan sapa labeva Tunurangi suvesi ananta mahaguna baling sila loka sila satyavama Nibbāna parama sukhayen sukhitatara vedmā Sadhu sadhu sadhu